Here's Jeff Paterson, who doesn't make bogeys.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah,
No, he's allergic to bogeys.
He's more a birdie juice guy, anyways.
But like me, doesn't play a lot of golf, which is annoying when he plays well.
Not yet. Yeah. He's going to get. He's not much of a mutter.
Yeah, I feel like the season hasn't really started yet. So
every year I ask him in January, Jeff, on some of these nice weekends we're going to play. No, thank you.
Well, this has been a spring,
and then by March you can tell that Jeff really wants to play. So, quite a game you covered on Friday night. Boy, these Abbotsford Canucks look really good in closeout games, don't they, Jeff?
Yeah, they seem to have that down. A couple of shutouts to advance, although they did have a chance to close out Tucson in the previous round and missed their first crack at it. So they're getting better at it as they go here. But they were really good on Friday night and pretty darn good throughout the series against Coachella Valley. And so they're going somewhere that they've never gone as an organization, at least not based in Abbotsford. And that's to the third round, a chance to win the Pacific Division. And I guess I'm struck just by what a team effort it is. 12 different guys have scored in the playoffs to this point. Sammy Blais leads in points, but it's not like he's got this ghastly total. He's doing his part and everybody's following, and they locked it down nicely. Arturs Šilovs was solid. He hasn't been spectacular at any point in the playoffs, but he's been really solid and made the saves that he's supposed to. And I was impressed defensively with the way that they just didn't give up much in a game where Coachella Valley had everything to play for, and obviously their season is now done. So good on Abby. They're on to round 3.
Jeff, we've been told that Manny plays the same system as Rick Tocchet did with the Vancouver Canucks. So, when you say they lock it down, is this a suffocating team defense where they just don't give up a lot of high danger chances and err on the defensive side of the puck? Do you see that as invisible? Can you watch the Abbey Canucks and say, yes, I'm watching Rick Tocchet hockey just at the AHL level?
There are similarities, certainly. They don't have Quinn Hughes out in Abbotsford, so that sort of changes the look and feel, obviously, between the two teams. But it is wild, guys, to see players like Guillaume Brisebois, who, has given it the old college try throughout his career, has made it to the National Hockey League. But I don't know if there's a National Hockey League game left in Guillaume Brisebois. But at the American Hockey League level, he is bordering on dominant in a lot of these games. And remember that Abbotsford's without Christian Wolanin, who would play a ton of minutes in a lot of situations, and now Jet Wu missed the last handful of games as well. So they really leaned on the healthy defensemen that they had. And I don't have ice times, but I would imagine that Guillaume Brisebois logged a ton in what was a 1-0 game until they sealed the deal into an empty net. And so, Coachella Valley was one shot away, and you just can't make the mistakes. He doesn't. He plays just a solid, positionally sound. He's not spectacular, but he's not trying to be, and he doesn't have to be. But I thought he and Akito Hiroshi, you see the veteran presence in both of those guys at that level. And Brisebois, he kills penalties. He's out there late in games with a 1-goal lead, just effectively doing his job. And so, it was interesting to hear Manny after the game talk about how they leaned on their structure. And I know Rick Tocchet, obviously, that was one of his buzzwords. So maybe there are some similarities in that regard. I didn't think Coachella Valley dominated, but as you can imagine, they're down a goal. They're pushing in the third period. There were times where they had those shifts territorially, but Abbotsford seemed to be in the right position, that anytime Abbotsford or anytime Coachella Valley looked like maybe it was going to be able to generate a quality look, an Abbotsford guy was there in a shooting lane or a stick was getting in the way. They just look like they are doing what Manny Malhotra is asking them to do right now, and it's hard to argue with the results as they advance to the next round here.
The change in level thing is so funny. I remember watching Eric Brandsummer in the early part of the year, and he looked like Quinn Hughes in the AHL. It's incredible. So it's funny how that happens. Your comment on Šilovs is encouraging because I feel like in the playoffs in the NHL last year, it was a little bit more of the spectacular save and less of the boring goaltending. To me, that's encouraging that he's making the saves that he's supposed to, because that's almost what was missing from his game at the NHL level.
Yeah, and I think some of that comes back to the way the guys are playing in front of him, that he's not being asked to make 2 and 3 and 4 saves in succession here, that they're mopping up in front and a lot of one and dones, but he's doing his part with the one shot that does get through. But he made 29 saves. Like, it wasn't like Coachella Valley didn't have shots on goal, 11 in the third period as they were pushing for the equalizer there. His best save of the game on Friday and of the playoffs so far came off a guy by the name of Ian McKinnon, and you may have seen the highlight where they dumped the puck in. Coachella Valley was able to get to the forecheck. Guy swings in behind the net and a quick pass out in front. McKinnon all alone. And Arturs Šilovs was able to make himself big and, again, was in the right spot there to make what was a game saver ultimately, because it was a glorious opportunity and the Firebirds couldn't convert there. So, he sounds like he's having fun with it. Crowd was getting into it, chanting his name, and he seems to be feeding off some of that. And as we've talked about, there is something about these spring times for Arturs Šilovs, whether it was the Worlds or last year the NHL, and now it looks like he is getting on a bit of a run here. And credit to him. Like, he got the hook in game 3 of the series. Game 2, I suppose. It was game 2, got the hook. And Manny came back to him, and he has responded, and he gave 1 goal in the 2 games since he was returned to the Abbotsford net. So if you're getting that kind of goaltending at this time of the year, you stand a pretty good chance of having some success. That said, the deeper you get in the playoffs, the more the challenges level up. And next up is a Colorado team that led the American Hockey League in goals scored through the American Hockey League season. So that's going to be one of the big challenges, obviously, is trying to slow down this Colorado team that finished 2 points in front of the Abbotsford Canucks in the regular season standings.
And Latvia could have used him versus Canada.
Yes, for sure. You could ask him about the kids. All your fretting about the kids last week. Kids were pretty good.
Well, read between the lines on Malhotra's comment on Lekkerimäki there with just the 1 point.
Yeah, just 1 shot on goal. He was really quiet the other night. And I don't want to say disappointing, but he does leave you wanting more. I guess if there's a concern here, it's that this isn't just 1 or 2 games now, interrupted by dental surgery that apparently didn't quite go right, but hasn't scored in the playoffs. But even before that, you go back, hasn't scored for a while now in the American Hockey League and didn't score a lot in his last call-up at the National Hockey League level. And this is a goal scorer. And I was looking back through his statistics. The last time he scored in the American Hockey League, he had 7 shots on goal in that game. Like, that's a volume shooter. That's when he is at his best. And so through the 4 games that he's played here in the playoffs, he has just 6 shots on goal. There are other guys that are doing more right now, and he's out there on the power play, but he doesn't feature on the power play. But yeah, small C concern. Just you want more from him, and so you get to hit the reset button as you move into another round here. So a new batch of games and another opportunity for him to step up. But Manny was trying to sort of prop him up a little bit. Said he's doing things away from the puck and some of the right reads defensively, and that's great. That's great. But ultimately, this guy's calling card is putting pucks in the net, and he hasn't done it for a while at any level. Would just like to see him shooting the puck more than he has through the first handful of games here in the postseason.
Yeah, if they have to move one of their top prospects, perhaps in conjunction with that 15th overall pick to land their top 2 center, Jeff, is it cut and dry for you? Is it Lekkerimäki more so than Wieland, or vice versa? Do you have a strong feeling on which of the top 2 prospects need to go if they're
or you're willing to go
if they're required to land that top 2 center that Rutherford talked about being so expensive?
Well, I would flip the question on you and suggest, what would the other acquiring team want? And right now they would see the same things that I'm seeing, that others are seeing with Jonathan Lekkerimäki. That he boasts a resume of being a goal scorer at just about every level he's played, but chips are down here. This is playoff hockey, and you want to see him rise above. And so I think there'd be a little bit of caution on an acquiring team if that was the guy. Now, again, he's 20 years old. He's got his career in front of him. So I don't know that would necessarily scare teams away. I would say that the right shot defenseman would be the more coveted asset and might have more market value just based solely on that. So
if you're pilfering a forward, maybe they want a forward back, right? Who knows?
Yeah. No, again, it comes down to what the other team's looking for. I'm just saying that these games are heavily scouted, and as teams are sort of trying to get the book on Jonathan Lekkerimäki, he's gone a little cold at the wrong time of the season. Again, I don't think that diminishes him in the big picture as a prospect, but when the chips are down here, this isn't a guy that has risen above yet. So you hope that there's more to come here in this playoff run, and obviously as a springboard. It just comes back to this question, and I'm getting a lot, and you guys probably seeing it as well in your socials too, about who's the best prospect, who's most likely to make the jump to the National Hockey League. Just based on what I've seen through 2 rounds of the playoffs here so far, this playoff run is on the back of Sammy Blais and Phil DiGiuseppe now up to 6 points in 8 games. Jujhar Khaira. We talked about Guillaume Brisebois, Nikita Hirose. The legitimate prospects for the National Hockey League in Abbotsford have not stood out. I don't think there's room for Arturs Šilovs in the crease at the NHL level next year. I mean, unless there's injury, and with that Demko, that's certainly a possibility, I suppose. But in terms of breaking camp with the Vancouver Canucks, Artur's injured right now. Lekkerimäki's been quiet. The best of the bunch has probably been Kirill Kudryavtsev, who as a raw rookie is stepping up, had an assist on the game winner the other night on the power play, doesn't look out of place at all. But is Kirill Kudryavtsev breaking camp with the Vancouver Canucks and making their NHL roster next season? No, I don't think so. So it is difficult to pinpoint one guy. If there is one, I suppose Max Sasson has probably been the best of the bunch, but he's getting to that age now where are we considering him a legitimate prospect, or is he just kind of entering that sort of journeyman stage of his career where there's still runway for him, obviously. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not writing him off here. His speed is exceptional at the American Hockey League level. We've seen it at the NHL level, but this is my one point, and I've said it a few times with you guys now, is you just love that this playoff run down on the farm was on the backs of all these guys that were banging on the door, pushing to break through for an NHL job next season, and that hasn't necessarily been the case, but the way this Abbotsford team is built, it's built to have playoff success. You need those veteran guys that have been through the battles over the years. They've got a bunch of them, and those guys certainly are stepping up in the here and now.
We should mention it's Friday at home to the Colorado Eagles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Friday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And so another best of 5 as we all keep track of the intricacies of the American Hockey League playoffs. So, yeah, it's Colorado finished 2 points. It's funny, Abbotsford had more wins, but Colorado had 2 more points in the standings, and therefore they are the higher seed, and they have elected to start in Abbotsford and then move the series to Loveland, Colorado. The other thing, guys, is by winning the division, the regular season division, this Colorado team got a bye in the first round, took care of San Jose in the second round in 4 games. They have played 4 hockey games since April the 19th. Like, it's weird. Like, that's your advantage is you get this bye, but the flip side there is you're not playing much hockey for the better part of a month with all the gaps in the scheduling and the layoffs between series here. So
it's like the Memorial Cup host, that gets bounced in the playoffs, but they've got to stay sharp somehow. But if they hold serve, they're in the driver's seat, right? Abbey Canucks have to use home ice, and then they only need to take one of the final 3.
Yeah, and Colorado, guys, the best team in the American Hockey League on home ice. Their outrageous record at home. It's like 26-8 or something, whatever it adds up to the amount. But they were the best team and had the most points on home ice. But they were also completely average on the road. And in fact, in the first round, split their 2 games in San Jose. And San Jose upset Ontario, was one of the lowest seeds in the entire American Hockey League playoffs. So, no, there's a real chance here for Abbotsford to grab this thing by the throat. Now, by virtue of the format, they will have to win at least 1 in Colorado. But yeah, I mean, if they can continue this run here, and we've talked about the fact that in the last 3 home games, Arturs Šilovs has given up 1 goal. He's got 2 shutouts and given up 1 goal. So they're dialed in defensively. They're going to get challenged. This is a very good Colorado team. But yeah, in another shortish series, boy, if they get a 2-0 lead, absolutely, you'd sign up for that all day and take your chances of getting 1 down in Colorado.
Okay, Jeff, good. I'm just looking at the roster right now. Itty-bitty Matthew Phillips is there. How about that? Mm-hmm. Okay, marvelous stuff. Thank you for this. You're going to be in with me later this week, so looking forward to that, my friend.
All right, sounds good, and we'll see you on Wednesday.